It's Saturday night,
The kids are in bed,
which means we did it. We survived another week.
so let's talk about it.
From our latest homebrew project,
To kids' crafting projects.
it's just talking life with 2 young kids and 2 dogs. Grab your favorite beverage, sit back,
Relax.
and see where the conversation takes us.
Sometimes we don't even know until we get there. This is the Craft Parenting Podcast.
Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Craft Parenting Podcast. I'm Joe Ludwig, and today's episode is all about beginnings. We are going to discuss who we are and the members of our growing family. First, I would like to introduce my lovely co-host, Caroline.
Hey, hubby.
Well, I see you have an adult beverage to close out the week. What are you sipping on tonight?
I am sipping on a West Side Brewing, local to our area and delicious, Bock beer that is 7.6%. It's not a Doppelbock, which makes me a little sad, but Doppelbocks haven't really come out yet. We're still early in Bock season, and I probably shouldn't have a Doppelbock because I am feeding a tiny human, and getting drunk is generally frowned upon in these times.
If you are with social services, she has a very small amount of beer.
It's like a schluck, maybe 4 schlucks total over the last 2 hours.
Do you remember Bachfest during the before times?
Oh, Lord. Yes, it was both amazing and exhausting.
And the before times reference before kids and before the pandemic,
Yeah.
which is crazy.
Oh, my goodness. A craft beer festival where it's either 60 degrees outside and everybody's sweating, or it's like -10 and you're all crammed in to a building that isn't really meant to be a public space because it was originally a grain house for a brewery. So it's loud, it's chaotic because there's a band playing, and you're elbow to elbow with people who are drinking beers that at a minimum are 7% because it's Bock beer. It's meant to get you through Lent. If you are not aware of what Bock beer is, there's a reason why it's called liquid bread. It's not necessarily a thick beer, but it has a lot of body to it. So it'll get you some calories in. And it was created by the monks as their food during Lent. And it's delicious. And it's very alcoholic. A Doppelbock means that it is typically twice as strong as your regular Bock. So those average into the 10s and up percentage-wise.
Yeah, they can.
So yummy.
Some of them are like 8% though.
Yeah.
But those beers were on draft, and there were a lot of them, a lot of varieties, all brewed locally. It was a good time. We were there a year ago, well, almost a year ago, on Leap Day.
Yeah. We left Lily with your mom, I think, and ran/walked a 5K, drank some beers. Rona was kind of a thing, but not really in the States yet, so nobody was really worried about it. But we've been going to Bachfest for the last 10-ish years, from dancing on Sunday where we would park in the lot right across the street.
In the mud.
In the mud, yeah. Hope we can get back out again. Hope our tights are still white by the time we cross through the parking lot. And then now it takes up 2 city blocks, and we have to park we've parked 5 blocks away just so we have a place where we can guarantee our car will be when we get back.
Yeah, well, not now. I mean, now it's it's different this year. But last year, it was in full swing.
Historically, over the growing of Bachfest, it went from this little thing that nobody knew about to now it is this huge event. And now we've certainly grown craft breweries in Cincinnati over the last 10 years. And the majority of them have a Bock beer. And this time of year, you don't have a Bock beer on draft. People are like, where's your Bock? And then you go to like Indianapolis and nobody really knows what a Bock beer is. I love it. It's like get a Skyline Chili, Bock beer, super Cincinnati.
Not everyone in Cincinnati even knows about it either.
No, but they'll learn. We'll educate them.
Well, on to our main subject. Who are we? My name is Joe, and at the day job, I do internal communications, where I mainly publish and maintain content on our company's intranet. Caroline and I have been married since 2015. And do you want to go into how we met or how we should have met?
Which version of this story are we telling?
FCC appropriate one.
Is this the one where I met you at a birthday party or a graduation party? Well, both of them I think were actually graduation parties, weren't they? No, I think Max was a birthday party.
It was a graduation. I don't know.
It was the same time of year.
How we should have met was my neighbor, my parents' neighbor, I guess, now, was your Girl Scout troop leader.
Yes. Super small world. West Side Cincinnati love story. When my troop leader turned 40, maybe it was when she turned 50. When she turned 50, when I was in high school, I chalked her driveway when she was out of town. Well, when she was actually out of the house for like 30 minutes. Didn't even know she was out of the house. Didn't even tell her kids that I was doing it. Dressed in all black. Actually got called out by one of her neighbors once I was done, like, hey, what did you just do? Because you were super suspicious. And I was like, oh, don't worry. It's fine. It's my Girl Scout troop leader's house. Everything is chalk and tape. Easy for them to clean up. Nothing bad. You can go look at it yourself if you want to. And the next morning, Joe was like, who the hell decorated this person's driveway? So we met through some mutual friends.
In college, not even in high school.
It was after I graduated high school. But it was still the summer between high school and when I started college. And he was like, okay, so the first time you come to my house, ideally, I'm going to be in the car with you so I can get you through my neighborhood, because my neighborhood is super confusing. And to his defense, his parents' neighborhood is very confusing. But we get there and I'm like, that's my troop leader's house. Like, you could have just told me to go to her house and you were 3 doors down and we would have been fine. And then find out his brother is best friends with her son, whom I've known since he was like 3. And we should have met like 10 or so years before we actually did meet.
Not to mention that your mom lives on the other side of the high school that I live behind.
Yeah, our parents are basically backdoor neighbors except for a baseball field and a tennis court. What was it? I would always say it's a 4-minute walk, but a 5-minute drive to get from our houses.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my best friend lived in your neighborhood, but he lived at the beginning of the neighborhood. But I would use that shortcut that we would always use to get to his house. And the shortcut leads out to a few doors up from your mom's house.
Yeah. So, yeah, we should have met a long, long time ago. But we met in 2009. Started dating. Everybody kept asking us, when are you going to have kids? We're not even engaged or married yet. I mean, in there was a lot of, when are you guys going to get married in there first? But waited until after I graduated college and bought a house, got a dog, got married, then had some kids. Well, we got another dog first. Then we had some kids.
Do you want to talk about who you are first before we get into the kids and the dogs?
Yeah. So I'm a manufacturer and engineer by trade, but I lead a very eclectic life. I'm a mother of 2 under 2, which is super fun. Lily we'll go with 18 months old because she's like 2 days away from that. And Elliot is 2 weeks old as of today. I've done about every type of crafting under the sun. I'm very involved in Girl Scouts, although COVID and 2 children have slowed that down a bit. And I've got more hobbies than I can shake a stick at. Preferably, I'd be spending my time between knitting, hiking, crafting with kids, and reading. But life happens, and I get in what I can when I can. Hopefully over the next few weeks, I can get out of the house a bit with the kids and go to some parks and the zoo and maybe provide some reviews on how these places are doing with all the COVID restrictions, because I'm off work for a few weeks still. And then if there's anything you want us to talk about, let me know. Between the two of us, we've got a wide variety of topics under our belts, and we're always interested in learning new things as well.
Great. So you mentioned that we bought a house. We bought a house in July 2014. And then you were pretty adamant about not getting a dog.
No, let's wait and get a dog once we've gotten married, have a little bit of time under our belt, just the two of us. And then I saw a Facebook post. It was these 8 puppies that needed a home. And I sent it to Joe and said, hey, look at all these adorable puppies. And he was like, this one is my favorite. And I was like, wait, that one's my favorite too. Let's see if she's still available. And she was. So that's how we got a dog in September after we moved into our house in the beginning of August.
Yeah, it was late July.
Yeah.
That we bought the house.
Didn't tell anyone other than a handful of people that we were getting a dog. Didn't tell our parents. Told some of our friends.
Because they were going to talk us out of it.
Yeah. Threw a surprise party for Joe's 25th birthday on Saturday. And then on Sunday, we picked up Zoe. And then we showed up at his parents' house for dinner and said, hey, look, we have a puppy. And they're like, oh my goodness, what? We're like, yep, we got a dog. We're totally prepared for this.
How would you describe Zoe?
Zoe is part husky, and by part husky, I mean she almost completely acts like a husky, but she doesn't shed like a husky.
She doesn't really look like a husky either.
No, but she's got 2 modes. It's either adventure dog or lazy dog. We can take her on 6 to 10 mile hikes on Saturday and Sunday every weekend for 2 months straight, and she will be the happiest dog in the world. Or we can lay in bed for most of Saturday and Sunday, and as long as she gets fed, she's totally fine with that. Now, there is some transition between the 2 versions of our dog, where if we are on adventure dog for a while and then we just all of a sudden cold turkey go to lazy dog, she's not very happy about it. We get some husky sass, and then she is very food motivated. She was ambivalent about Lily when she first arrived to the house. And then when Lily started eating food, Zoe was her new best friend. And now that Lily is older, she likes to share her food with Zoe.
A lot.
Yeah. It's, hey, I'm done eating this. Let me throw this on the floor for you, Zoe. Have some food. So
Zoe was born pretty much around the same time that we bought the house, which is crazy.
Yeah, when I talked to the woman that we got her from, her birthday, and this is the thing that I'm terrible with dates. It's either the same day that we closed on the house or like the day before or the day after.
I want to say it was the same day.
I do too.
The 28th.
But again, I am terrible with dates.
So that was kind of crazy. And then we got her pretty much the day, like you said, after my birthday.
Yep.
Which was a little before my birthday, the birthday party.
Well, I had to surprise you somehow, other than having you chase me and your sister all through Meyer because you wanted to go home too early.
Yeah, and then we had a surprise dog. Was that 2016, I guess?
It was 2016 because it was around our 1-year wedding anniversary. Your sister was staying at the house with us.
My family owns a farm. They own some land and a house out in eastern Ohio, about 90 minutes from Cincinnati. And we had a dog out there who accidentally got pregnant and had a litter of puppies.
She was allegedly fixed, but the amount of times we were told, Jelly Bean might be pregnant, I kind of figured she wasn't. So we had a litter of 8 puppies.
Oopsie puppies.
That were born in a barn.
Literally born in a barn, yeah.
Yep. Clara was literally raised in a barn. You would never know it.
And for your birthday, we went out there and we played with the puppies, and we were pretty adamant about not getting a puppy.
But we both had the same favorite. You can see where this is going.
And we texted the family and we said dibs on this one. And I think the exact quotes of that text were, she has a heart on her butt. Is that right?
Yeah, she kind of has a spot that looks like a heart on her butt. You can argue that it doesn't look like a heart. I'm going to argue that it does look like a heart.
It looks a little different now. So Clara is, I mean, she's a mutt, but she is part lab and part coonhound, and she howls like a hound for sure. And she's kind of sassy, and there were some issues at the farm, and we had to take the puppies away from Jelly Bean. Jelly Bean wasn't really acting like a mother, I guess.
She was probably a bit old to be a first-time mom.
Yeah, we weren't really sure how old she was. She just kind of showed up at the farm. So she had this litter of puppies, and we noticed that she wasn't really acting like a mother. So we had to intervene and take the puppies away from the mother at like 5 weeks.
They were probably closer to 6 to 8 weeks. When we actually did take Clara to the vet, they were like, oh, she's probably a little older than you think she is.
Yeah, that was the other thing. We didn't know how old the puppies were.
Every time we asked for the date they were born, we were given a different date.
So we think she was born early May.
We just say the puppy's birthday is May 1st.
Yeah, so we don't know for sure. But Clara is a strange one. She doesn't like water.
Dew on the grass is too wet for her.
Yeah, to go take her outside in the morning. God forbid the grass is wet. She's very pampered. She likes the burrow, and she seems to be afraid of everything.
A little bit. She also loves to go hiking, but she won't get in the water with the other dogs and is not a huge fan of going through mud. She'll do it.
She's kind of like the pampered princess.
Yeah, she'd much rather be curled up on the couch under a blanket. She has her own blankets just so she can burrow. She's a little spoiled. Well, both of our dogs are a little spoiled.
But they're completely different in personality. That's crazy.
Oh, yeah. You'd think, well, I mean, Zoe was kind of born in a barn, but not, it was more of a kennel situation outside. Clara, literally raised in a barn, does not act like a farm dog at all. We take her out to the farm and she wants to be in the house with us. Zoe's out chasing ducks in the pond.
Yeah, she has, but Zoe doesn't swim either. So that's a first for me. I grew up with a chocolate lab, and that's all she did was swim. But Clara is a different kind of dog. She's kind of like the mama bear. If we went on a hike, remember?
Oh, yeah, she'd stick with the group. If anybody starts getting too far away, she tries to bring them back. Doesn't really necessarily herd, but she's like, where you at? What's going on? Catch up with everybody else, please. You're stressing me out.
She does have a lot of anxiety.
She does. Any recommendations on what to do about that would be fantastic.
Your mom suggested pot. Not literal pot, but medical pot.
Yeah, could get her some CBD oil and see what happens.
I'm not a huge fan of that idea. So that brings us to our daughter.
Yeah, little Lily, who's not so little anymore. So Lily was born in September of 2019. She is our NICU baby. She was born full term, but spent 16 days in the NICU because she aspirated meconium. So that was super fun. We can do a whole episode or series on NICU life at some point. But she came home, healthy, strong, big fighter for sure, and is now Little Miss Independent.
She's healthy now.
Oh, yeah. She is a wild child. She likes to climb up on things. She likes to get into things.
She likes to jump.
Very much into jumping. Very much being thrown into things. So that's fun. Doesn't want to hold your hand. Just wants to run everywhere. So we'll see how our first zoo trip goes with her really walking around. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, we don't have that double stroller.
No, I need to get one of those.
And I don't think she would take the front pack very well.
I would not take her in the front pack very well either. She'd try to kick herself off of me. No, Ma, I want to go.
But the poor kid was born in, like you said, September 2019. And then the pandemic hit. I mean, you were off maternity leave in November.
Yeah, so I took 12 weeks FMLA, went back to work the week of Thanksgiving for part-time, went back to work full-time at the end of February, and then mid-March, hey, you're going to be working from home. We haven't done this before. Good luck.
Yeah, but she hasn't been anywhere.
She's been a few places. We've taken her to the zoo once or twice. We wanted to go to the Festival of Lights this year, but I was hella pregnant and just not feeling it. The zoo is all hills in Cincinnati. It's a great zoo. I love our zoo, but I was not up to it this year. And she still sees family, so we haven't really seen a lot of extended family, but my mom still comes over to the house. Your mom comes over, or we send her over to your parents' house. She sees your sister, your brother, and a few other people. So she knows people. She still does totally fine. Now that we've got Elliot too, she doesn't go to our friend's house anymore to hang out with their kids. Might try to set up some play dates with her soon.
Neighbors across the street seem promising.
Yeah, neighbors across the street are amazing.
They have 3 kids.
Yeah, they've got 3 kids. They're all older than Lily. But one of them's about a year older than Lily. Maybe a year and a half. So they're a bit closer in age to do things together. And now that Lily's walking and is a little less doing stupid things to hurt herself that all babies do, we'll be more likely to be like, hey, the weather's nice. The neighbors are outside. Let's go hang out with them for an hour or 2. So she knows what people are. And like when we took Elliot to his newborn shoot, the photographer was saying now her issue with 1-year-olds is that they don't really get to see people. So they're just kind of like, wait, who is this person that is not my immediate family? Stranger danger, even though I don't really know what stranger is at this point. So she's having issues getting good reactions out of the kids. But Lily is still super much like, hi. Tell me I'm cute.
She does like saying hi.
And it's so adorable. She's the cutest. I'm a little biased.
A little, yeah. And that finally takes us to the newest addition, Mr. Elliot, who is sitting right here, actually. He's the executive producer, the supreme executive producer.
He's the one that dictates when we can do this. Lily's got a pretty set schedule at this point, so we can know for sure when we want to work around stuff with her. But Mr. Elliot does not have a schedule yet, so we do things when he lets us do things.
Yeah, and he is here, and we got to take him home.
Yeah.
He didn't go into the NICU. He was healthy. You were healthy.
Yeah, I think I freaked out, like, all of my nurses, because other people kept having kids. So our nurse would swap out for another nurse. And I think it was about nurse 7 that was actually the one that was there when I delivered Elliot. And everyone, I was like, okay, so Lily was a NICU kid. She failed her APGAR. I don't know what any of her numbers were, but she failed her APGAR. I'm going to ask you like 30 times, how's he doing? How are his numbers? I get to keep him, right?
And yeah, they let us keep him. He was born 2 weeks ago, almost exactly today, at the time of this recording. And it was in the wake of a super
we're going to get 12 inches of snow.
Apocalyptic snowstorm.
The whole city's going to shut down.
12 inches, 17 inches snow.
Yes, he was born very early Saturday morning. Sunday, everyone that they can discharge from the hospital is getting papers to go home. They absolutely do not want anyone there that doesn't have to be there.
Because that Monday was D-Day.
That Monday was, Monday morning. Snow's going to start. It's not going to stop.
17 inches, storm of the century.
Yeah, so we're sitting in the hospital room with a kid that's 24 hours old, and we're like, this is new territory for us. We didn't get to hold Lily until she was 4 or 5 days old at best.
You got to hold her right away.
I got to hold her for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Enough for her to fail her second APGAR. And then they're like, okay, we're calling in the pediatrician. And then when they decided that they were going to, in fact, send her to the NICU, they swaddled her up, handed her to me so we could take a family picture, and then whisked her away. So she was never in the hospital room with us. We only got to see her in the NICU, and she was hooked up to so much stuff that they wouldn't let us hold her until she was 4 or 5 days old, and she had started to wean off some of her equipment.
And then you got to hold her first. I think she was born on Sunday, right? And I got to hold her for the first time that Thursday. You got to hold her again on Wednesday.
Yeah. So the hospital that she was delivered at, same one that Eli was delivered at, has a level 3 NICU, which is the highest classification for a NICU. And Sunday night, they were telling us we might have to send her to Children's Hospital because we might not be able to help her. And that was when my heart just dropped out. Like, what is going to happen to my baby? Fortunately, she got to stay there, so we were both in the same hospital. But I'm like, at this point, I am only delivering children at this hospital. So we will always be under the same roof, no matter what happens.
Yeah, it's one of the best hospitals, like in the city for sure, for delivering children and NICU. I mean, it's second to none to Children's, pretty much. You can't deliver at Children's, obviously.
I think like super high risk people can, but fortunately not super high risk. But giant snowstorm is coming. We have 2 dogs and a toddler. Toddler's hanging out with my mom. The 2 dogs are at his parents' house. And Sunday morning, they're like, yeah, you're going to get discharged today. Don't know when yet. Still have to meet some milestones, but you're getting discharged today, which means we're going to get sent home with a kid that's less than 48 hours old, which we have not ever had to deal with.
And the nurses are like, oh, you got this. You've had a kid before. And we keep...
Yeah, this is your second kid. You're fine.
We kept telling them, no, that this is not fine. I mean, it was fine, but it was just new for us.
Yeah. Totally new experience. And so we get to go home from the hospital on Sunday with the newborn in the car, have Lily get dropped back off at our house after we had been home for an hour or 2, and waited a week to bring the dogs back home. The dogs missed us, but we were like, we need to slowly ease into everyone under the same roof. But since there was a snowstorm coming, we knew we were on our own. We did not have enough food in the house. But fortunately, his mom went out, got us some more food. My mom cleaned out the fridge and made sure that we had other stuff in the house to get us through. And then we knew we were going to be at least 24 hours in the house, just the 4 of us. No help, because everybody's getting snowed in. But we made it.
It did snow. It snowed like maybe 4 inches, would you say?
Yeah. The big thing was we got like an inch of ice. And fortunately, we got snow, and then we got ice, and then we got more snow. So things weren't ever terribly terrible. But yeah, we wouldn't have been going out. Would not have looked forward to the Cincinnati Hills with a newborn in a snowstorm if they would have discharged us on Monday.
Yeah, coming home from the hospital, that would have been interesting.
Yeah.
And the ice and snow. Well, that's all about us. And that does it for this week's show. Thanks so much for listening. If you like what you hear, please take a moment to leave a rating and review. We'd really appreciate that. And also help us grow by spreading the word about this podcast. Share it with your family, your friends, your neighbor down the street. And with that, I'm Joe.
And I'm Caroline.
See you next time on Craft Parenting.